Paris FC have been in the news a lot recently. Not Paris Saint-Germain, Paris FC. There is more than one professional football club in the French capital after all, and Paris FC do play in the second division of French Football League. They're going for promotion to Ligue 1 for the first time in a very long time, and we could well have a Paris derby back on the footballing calendar for the first time since 1990. It's been a very long time since Paris FC have been in the top flight of French football. Now, there are actual calls from some people saying that Paris FC could become the next Superclub of Europe. I know, it sounds incredible for a team that is currently playing in the second French division and in a country that in truth is really struggling right now with its domestic league. Despite how well the French national team has done in recent times, winning the World Cup in 2018 of course, and producing some of the best players in world football, particularly from Paris as well, where this club are located. You know, despite all of that, there's only one French club right now that's doing really well, and that is PSG. There's also only one top flight club from the French capital in the actual Ligue 1, the top division of France, and that's a division as well that has shrunk down to 18 teams now too. The French football is not doing particularly well. Look at what Bordeaux has done. Look at what Lyon are potentially. They could get relegated this season no matter where they finish in Ligue 1, of course. It's an incredibly bad situation that French domestic football finds itself in. But how are Paris FC going to do this? How are they going to break the monopoly that PSG, the stranglehold that PSG have on French football? A club that have a budget 5 times higher than anybody else in France currently. How are they going to do it? Well, money. Simple as that. Money is the only way to do this at the moment. And you might think again, well, they're a second division French side. They have a couple thousand attendants currently at their stadium. How are they going to do that? Well, their owners are incredibly rich. They are majority owned by Agash Sport, and Agash Sport are owned by the Arnault family. Now, the Arnault family are one of the richest in the world. Bernard Arnault, who's the kind of patriarch of this family, he is currently apparently worth around 200 million US dollars. He has some massive brands such as Dior under his and Louis Vuitton as well under his kind of ownership really. And one of the assets that he's got into recently, or at least the family has gotten into, is Paris FC. Also, another big investor in this football club is Red Bull. Now, Red Bull, of course, invest a lot in sports. For a long time, they dominated Formula 1, for example. They still do very well in Formula 1, of course. But in the footballing world, they have a huge amount of investments in different countries around the world. Recently, they've invested in Leeds United here in England. They've obviously taken over Red Bull Leipzig over in Germany. They've won trophies there. Red Bull Salzburg has dominated Austrian football for a long time. They've got Red Bull Bragantino as well over in Brazil. They've got a lot of different interests in a lot of different countries, and they want to bring them to the top. They, of course, recently announced that Jurgen Klopp was going to be their head of global soccer, I think his official title is, and he will be heavily involved with the Paris project too, because French football, like I said, it's dominated by one club in Paris. They want to change that. They'll want to change that. They're not going to... People like this don't invest in clubs to just make up the numbers, just become a top flight side for the first time in a long time, which of course would very much, that would very much help their cause really at that point, of course. But at the end of the day, they want to be competing in Europe. They want to be competing in the Champions League. And they absolutely can do that. If they invest in the right way, if they get the right people on board, then in time, I believe that can firmly happen. Not least because, of course, some massive clubs in France have struggled so much. You look at Bordeaux, they have completely gone. They're in like the 4th tier of French football now. Saint-Etienne, historically the most successful club in French football history before PSG recently overtook them. They're on the verge of getting relegated to Ligue 2 again. Lyon, like I said, they're in trouble. Marseille are in trouble. Lyon are in trouble. A lot of clubs in the French top flight and around there are on the verge of bankruptcy. It is that bad right now. Even Brest, even though they are in the Champions League, there are fears about them too, which is just incredible to even think about. But, you know, I do think they've got a chance. And as much as it is boring seeing a club just buy its way to the very top, at least it's something for French football. At least it's someone that can compete. Because like I said, PSG really should have won every single league title for the last 15 years or so, if you're looking at it on a financial basis. It's a miracle that the likes of Monaco and Lille have managed to disrupt that monopoly thankfully. But even when they have, it's been relatively fleeting. It's just been that one title that they've managed to, of course, get the odd one in the last 15 years or so. So believe you me, Paris FC are going to go to the very top of French football. They're going to make it gone before too long. I mean, if you look at their season at the moment, they're doing a good job. They're up in 3rd place, which would mean that they enter the playoffs. There's a relegation and promotion playoff between the French 1st and 2nd tiers, of course. But they're only 1 point off of Metz, who would get an automatic promotion spot to Ligue 1. So there's every reason to say that Paris FC do have an opportunity to get promoted. They are, of course, as well, on top of that, they are moving stadium. Their current stadium at the moment, where they only get crowds of around 1,000 or 2,000, 2,000 or 3,000 or so. It's not a big club in terms of the support they currently have right now. But that's very much a kind of symptom of French football. You think of the Championship in England, how much 2nd tier clubs are supported. That's just not a thing in France. And to have any kind of decent support, you need to be in the top flight. And even then, crowds do struggle for some clubs as well. It's not. France is a big rugby country as well. A lot of people don't realise that. So that, there's a lot of supporters for other sports as well. But honestly, Paris FC, they definitely have a chance there. They're going to move into the, where is it? The Stade François Stadium, I believe it is. The one that is literally right next door to PSG Stadium. And there is actually a chance that PSG might move stadium one day. I think the council currently owns the stadium for PSG, the Stade de France, and because of that, they can't do any work to it. All the kind of proposals they've made to increase the stadium capacity, increase the corporate hospitality, they've been declined by the owners, and they've been unable to actually purchase it too. They will not sell it, and I would not rule out the Qataris actually going and building a new stadium on a new site, and then vacating that one, and Paris FC could move in, because they won't want, the owners of that stadium will not want that stadium to be empty. They need tenants to keep the revenue going, and Paris FC therefore would be the likely people to do that. And of course, as well, I did mention that, Paris and France have produced the most incredible footballers over the past 10, 20 years or so. It's kind of replaced Brazil for being the hotbed of young talent in football these days. And Paris FC, if they play their cards right, they very much can, tap into that talent pool. Being a League On side rather than a League 2 side, that will also help more players be convinced, PSG maybe is not the place for me to be. Maybe I should go to Paris instead, Paris FC. So yeah, they're moving into a new stadium. They've got ambitions. And everything as well, I know this as well, and I know this from the HITC7's video, which I do implore you go watch as well. One of my favorite YouTubers, love Alfie, love the stuff that he does. They actually have free tickets. They have free tickets. It's free to go and watch Paris FC. And even with that, of course, the naysayers will say, well, they still only get a few thousand. That's not very good. And yeah, I agree. The fan base just isn't there right now, but that will grow. I'm sure, look, say what you want about Red Bull, right? But they know marketing. They know how to get people on side. They know how to get young people on side and get them attracted to a marquee, a badge, a brand. And, I'm sure they will not be Paris Red Bull or Red Bull Paris or whatever, but they will have the Red Bull sponsorship on at some point, I'm sure. Or at least they have the Red Bull know-how of people like Jurgen Klopp there to tap into as well. So for me, absolutely, they have a real chance of getting into the top division of France before too long, and also getting into European football, because a lot of French clubs are really struggling, and that is an advantage they will take. Paris, of course, being a hotbed of, like I said, it's one of Europe's great cities at the end of the day. You look at how many clubs in the Premier League are in London. I think there's 7 of them in total. There's only one from Paris in there, and it's such a missed opportunity, effectively, But I think they will fully take advantage of that in the years to come. But what do you guys think? Am I getting ahead of myself? Well, I think if any club right now in France is going to become a super club and join PSG at that top table, it's Paris. The likes of Lyon, Marseille, these are massive clubs. These are absolutely massive clubs. Let's not get away from that. They are. But financially, they cannot compete with PSG. They just can't. Paris have the money to be able to do so, and if they invest it wisely, I see no reason why they can't. But your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I want to hear what you have to say on this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always helps us out here in the Football Chronicle. And yeah, we'll see you soon for some more content from the world of football right here on the channel. Have a good one, guys. Have a great week. See you soon.